In 1922, Hinterkaifeck, an isolated farmstead tucked away in the dense Bavarian woods, was buried under heavy winter snow. The unbroken white landscape around the property was pristine, save for one distinct anomaly. A single line of deep boot impressions emerged from the thick treen. They carved a direct path through the fresh snow, leading straight to the family's front door. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch of the six-member family, followed the trail backward. He quickly realized there were absolutely no footprints returning to the woods. Someone had walked into the house. No one had walked out. This physical breach followed days of strange events. Earlier, Andreas found a newspaper on his property from Munich, a major metropolitan city hours away. No one nearby subscribed to it, and the mail carrier hadn't delivered it. Soon after, the house keys vanished from their hooks. At night, heavy, deliberate footsteps dragged across the ceiling boards in the attic. Andrea searched every room and the barn, finding only empty space. This psychological pressure peaked when the family's maid packed her bags and fled into the night, insisting the farm was infested with demons. A replacement maid arrived on March 31st to assume the duties. She unwittingly stepped straight into an active, lethal hunting ground. By the time the final maid arrived, the occupant in the attic was no longer a ghost in the rafters. From the darkness above, they had watched every movement of the household, waiting for the right moment to descend. Night falls on March 31st. The narrative shifts away from the house and into the freezing, pitch-black space of the family's barn. The killer systematically coaxed the family out of their home. The father, the mother, their widowed daughter, and the young granddaughter all walked into the dark structure one by one. Faster, more urgent strikes as each member stepped inside. They were met with precise, fatal strikes to the head from a heavy matte black. The only light came from a swinging lantern casting violently shifting shadows across the rough wooden walls as the quiet executions took place. The routine agricultural space had become a methodical, isolated execution chamber. 4 bodies were hidden in the hay, and not a single sound had reached the farmhouse. Leaving the bloody barn, the killer walked back through the snow and entered the intimate, supposedly safe bedrooms of the main house. He found the newly arrived maid in her private quarters, violently ending her employment on her very first night. Finally, he approached a crib. Inside was baby Joseph, the family's infant child. The killer struck him while he slept undisturbed. With 6 precise strikes, the killer severed the Gruber bloodline entirely, leaving a complete vacuum of life within the walls of the farm. When investigators eventually arrived to seal the perimeter, they documented a massive anomaly. The killer did not drop the weapon and flee the scene after the massacre. The murderer remained inside the house, living alongside 6 corpses for 3 entire days. He adopted a surreal domestic routine. He ate the dead family's food from their pantry, slept in their beds, and kept the kitchen fire burning to stay warm, while his victims lay freezing in the barn. He even adhered to the farm schedule every single day he stepped outside to meticulously feed the dead family's cattle. The intruder occupied the vacancy he created, maintaining the farm's rhythm for days, as if he had always belonged there. The motive remains entirely blank. Investigators ruled out robbery immediately, finding the family's gold and money sitting out in the open, completely untouched. By the time concerned neighbors noticed smoke rising from the chimney and walked over to discover the bodies, the killer had vanished into thin air. A full century has passed. The identity of the person who hijacked the Gruber family's life remains a total void. A phantom conducted a takeover of a secluded farm, completed his gruesome work, and evaporated. His lasting legacy is a single set of footprints leading straight into a nightmare with none leading out.